Good morning, everybody. It's time for stamp class for October. Dale is waving, and Oliver's here too. He's not waving. We will wait just a minute to let some people hop on. I know we have some that ordered the kit for the month, so they will be crafting along with us. And we are going to attempt here to pull this up on the iPad. There we go. Looks good. So happy October. Glad to be here for stamp class today. I'm not sure if the volume is down on that, is it? Got somebody hopping on with us, so good morning. We're going to wait just a minute and we'll go over what supplies we're using this month. And we've got a really pretty class for you today. We're super excited to be here with you.
Got Sherry and Donna.
Oh, good morning. Glad y'all are here. I know you'll be crafting along with us, so Dale has the iPad pulled up and we'll be able to watch for your comments. We'll do our best to try to work where you can work along with us. But as you know, we do a video at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then at 11. So if you need a little bit of time to catch up, you will have that time. So how's everybody doing this morning? It is chilly outside. We turned the air conditioner off last night, and it is chilly. It's awesome. It's actually real fall. Yay. Maybe. It's still Texas. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm not seeing comments. Are you?
I've got a couple.
Okay, good. Well, they're not coming through on my device, but I'm glad that Dale can see them. Okay, let's get started. So we are using the Pretty Pumpkins bundle, and it's one of my favorites. I know I always say that, right? Everything's my favorite. But I really love crafting and creating projects for fall. Just such beautiful projects that we can make. We've got some beautiful designer series paper in our mini catalog this year, so we're just going to have some fun with these products today. So as I said, some of you do have the kit and you'll be crafting along with me. I think we still have, what, Dale, maybe 3 kits left?
I think so.
Okay, maybe 3 kits left. So if you missed out, the way that you get a kit, it's $20 or free with a minimum purchase. We'll just send it out to you, so it's not too late. So if you still want to create the cards, you could always go back and watch the replay, and we can get the kit sent out to you. I love being able to do this kits in the mail. This is fun since we're still doing virtual classes. Okay, let's take a look at these products. Now, first of all, these are the, let me look at the name right quick, Detailed Pumpkin Dies. And I realized this morning that I have one missing, so you'll see later which one it is. It's one of the large pumpkins, and I'm sure we'll find it, but that's a lesson. I really should have my magnetic sheet in here. That seems to help me keep everything in place. I'm sure I've tucked it in with another die set, but these are just awesome dies. Coordinate along with the stamp set, but then you've also got a couple that are kind of standalone dies. This intricate pumpkin, we're going to be using it a couple times today. It's absolutely fabulous. And then this other smaller pumpkin. You've got leaves and then other things that coordinate with the stamp set. So here is the beautiful stamp set. Used this a ton already. It's just gorgeous. If you do not have this stamp set, we're going to be showing you some alternatives of how you can create the projects. And we've got this very first project, we're going to be showing you an alternative. So if you don't have the stamp set and you're not able to stamp the image, we're going to be using this one. And you really do need to stamp it or use a different way to color it. And we'll be showing you that. And then we are using this awesome paper, Harvest Meadow. And I know you've seen it before, but we're bringing it back again because it's just so fabulous. So beautiful, kind of muted paper that is perfect for this time of year for creating our fall projects. So flip through that right quick. We're going to be using several of the patterns, and we're kind of using the designer series paper in a little bit different way this time, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Pulling in the Bumblebee gingham ribbon just works so well with these projects. And then we've got the brushed metallic adhesive backed embellishment, and these are super pretty. Just add a little bit of shine, but yet it's still that muted because they're the brushed metallic. I think you're gonna love them. So if you have the kit, those things are included. And then we've got one project that we're using this timber embossing folder. And I need to be better about pulling out embossing folders. That can just really add, you know, a lot of texture and interest to your project. So look through your embossing folders, and I would kind of challenge you, and I'm going to do the same, to try to use my embossing folders more often. It just really adds something to the project. Let me move this out of the way. Got some more people joining, Dee?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Becky's joined.
Hi, Becky.
Betsy joined. Jan joined.
Good morning.
And
Well, Jan, glad y'all are here.
Donna's surprised at our definition of chili.
Oh, she is. Well, but she lived, didn't she live in,
Alaska.
did Donna live in Alaska? She'll have to remind us. I'm thinking it was Australia that Donna lived. Is it Donna Williams or Donna?
I'm sorry, Donna Fenton.
Donna
I'm sorry.
Fenton. She lived in Australia.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's chilly after summer in Texas. Let's put it that way, right? Okay, so here is our very first project. And so you'll kind of see why you think you need the stamp to create this, right? But we're going to show you an alternative. So if you do not have this stamp set, don't panic. We're going to show you how you can still create this card. We are just using some strips of designer series paper, and we're going to be doing that throughout this class. So it's a little bit different way to kind of help you stretch your designer series paper. It also is a way to show a couple of different patterns, and I just love doing that. I think it's interesting here. We've got, I think this is Misty Moonlight that's in that paper, right, Dee?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
Misty Moonlight. And so who would think about putting Misty Moonlight with the pumpkin pie card base? But we did it, and it works. Also, using a pumpkin pie card base. Pumpkin pie is a color that I usually pull out about this time of year. It's not one that I use throughout the year, so it's fun to go ahead and really feature that color in our card base. So let's go ahead and grab supplies from our packet, and we'll go ahead and burnish this card base on the score line. So it's just our standard 8.5 by 5.5 piece of pumpkin pie cardstock, so half a sheet, and then scored at 4 1/4. And you have a piece of basic white to put on the inside, so we'll do that right quick. Now certainly if you like to stamp on the inside of your cards, you can do that before you adhere this in. You could also, if you have a little strip of designer series paper, you can add that. So it's up to you. I generally do not decorate the inside of my cards, but if you do, that's awesome. You do you, right?
Exactly.
That's part of what makes it fun, is we all create a little bit differently. Okay.
And that's what differences and what makes every card special.
It does. Now we've got a layer of crumb cake that's going to go right across the front here, but let's first bring in our stamp. And I chose the sentiment that says, if friends were pumpkins, I'd choose you. So I think that is super sweet. I'm going to use some early espresso ink to ink up this sentiment. But again, you could pull in some other colors. I think even the Misty Moonlight would be really pretty. What's wrong? Okay. You worried me. And I love this little scripty font. Y'all know I love fonts. This one is really pretty. Let me see if that looks straight.
That looks good.
Ish. Okay, we're gonna go with it. Okay. So then we've also got the strips of designer series paper. And then I've also got just a tiny strip, a 1/4 inch strip of Early Espresso cardstock. Now, if you have ribbon, you can also use ribbon across the seam of the Designer Series paper, but I thought it would be fun just to use this little scrap of cardstock, something different. And I like to show you guys different things. So we will pop this on, and it's going all the way to the bottom of this crumb cake layer. And then this is just actually the B side of that paper. So we're showing both Designer Series papers, the patterns. And we'll just butt that up to the other piece. Doing okay?
Doing good.
And then just a little bit of glue, and like I said, you could certainly use ribbon. We do have that beautiful Early Espresso ribbon that I love so much, but I thought this would be just something a little bit different. Sometimes you just have those scraps laying around and you want to use them. And we'll bring that right across where those two Designer Series papers meet. How's that look, Dee?
Looks very good.
Good. To help cover that up, but then it also adds a little bit more interest too. Okay, let that dry for a second, and we're ready to add this to our card front. Love this color combo. So I posted a list of supplies that you would need if you wanted to create along with us. And I talked about Stampin' Blends. And so that is what I'm going to be using. Where did I put my silicone craft sheet? There it is. I'm going to be using Stampin' Blends to color my image. And that's what I did here on my sample project. But if you don't have the stamp set or you don't have Stampin' Blends, Dale is going to be showing us an alternative in just a moment. Okay, so in your kit, you're going to find a template that looks like this. And then you've also got a blank of the pumpkin image that's been die cut. If you have a Stamparatus or other stamp positioning tool, then you're going to be able to put that blank into your Stamparatus, and you're going to be able to just, or put your template in, hold it in place, and then just pop that blank in and stamp your image. So if you do not have this stamp, for right now, just sit tight, and Dale is going to show you an alternative. If you do have this stamp, then go ahead, and I'm using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to be using Stampin' Blends, and that's what the ink that we want to use when we're using Stampin' Blends, because it will not, the alcohol in the blend markers will not smear the ink of the line image. Okay, that looks good. So now we're just going to pull this out, and I learned a new trick, you guys. Take your pick tool to pick those back out of your template. Isn't that cool? It works really well. I'm going to give this to Dale to get out of the way for me. They doing okay so far, Dee?
They seem to be doing okay. I'm not getting as many comments.
Okay. Well, they're working along with us, though. Okay, so let's bring in some Stampin' Blends. I've got Crumb Cake, Light and Dark, Soft Succulent, Light and Dark, and then Pumpkin Pie, Light and Dark. Now, our Stampin' Blend markers do come in a combo pack, and you do get the light and dark of each marker when you purchase the combo pack. So I'm just probably going to only use the light crumb cake this time, and that's what I'm going to color the stems of my pumpkins with. So on your Stampin' Blends, you've got a broad tip, and you know which one is the broad tip because there's a thicker line here and then more of a, what is that called?
Fine tip.
Fine tip. Thank you. Words are hard sometimes. So I'm going to come in with the fine tip and just color the stems right quick.
Sherry says she's intently watching.
She is?
Mm-hmm.
Did she really say that?
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like I was off just a tiny bit with my stamp in the, but that's okay. It's going to work. I can come in and snip that away. So because the stamps have a lot of detail to them, I'm really not going to do any blending with the stem. I'm just going to color it a little bit. And then the next thing I'm going to do is come in with Pumpkin Pie, and this time I'm going to use the broader tip. I'm going to start coloring my pumpkins with the light. Now, I'm not trying to be perfect with my coloring here. I just want to get a little bit of ink on my pumpkins, because I'm going to go in just a minute and add some shading and then come back through and blend. I'm working on my silicone craft sheet because alcohol ink does tend to absorb into the paper and it can go through to the back. So always protect your work surface when you're using alcohol markers. So you can see, not perfect. I'm just kind of flicking that ink onto my pumpkins. Yeah, I may have to trim this up a little bit, but it's okay. Now you could also, as I put on the post last night, you could be using regular markers. You could use what?
Well, the
water painter.
pencils.
Watercolor pencils. Regular Stampin' Right markers. You
And
could be using a blender pen. You could use lots of different things to do your coloring.
Judy Pierce says good morning.
Good morning. Now I'm going to come in with the fine tip on the dark pumpkin pie, and where, let me bring this a little bit closer so you guys can see, where there's already lines on the image of the pumpkin, I'm just going to follow those down with the fine tip of my pumpkin pie. And again, I'm not being super perfect, just adding some color here. And I'm not great at coloring. It's not really one of my superpowers. It's not one of my favorite things to do. But Stampin' Blends, even I can color with them. Now, I don't do it necessarily as well as other people, as well as Dale, but I still can be really happy with what I do. Okay, now we're going to come back in with the light pumpkin pie, and this is where we're going to kind of blend a little bit and fill in. So I'm just again going to flick that color, come across where I've put the dark lines, just fill in and make sure my pumpkin is colored, but I'm not blending that out a lot. I want to have a little bit of the dark ink across the pumpkin. How's that look, Dee?
That's good.
And I don't have a lot of Stampin' Blends, but I'm still kind of building my collection. You do want to use a really light touch when you're using Stampin' Blends so you don't damage the tip. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. And one thing that I've learned is stop while you're ahead. Don't keep messing with it. Okay, I'm going to put the cap back on, and then I want to make sure you listen to this too. It snaps on. This keeps your markers from drying out because it has a nice cap on it that's nice and tight. Now, we were at the retreat last weekend, and I overheard some people talking about storing your markers. You always want to have them laid down so that there's ink flowing to the tips so that they do not dry out and it doesn't damage the tips of your markers. Don't want to store them vertically. Okay, let's come in with some soft succulent. And this time, because the leaves are a little bit smaller, I'm using the fine tip again. I'm just going to fill in, get a little bit of color on those leaves. And I have kind of gone over a little bit with pumpkin pie, but I can kind of camouflage that. With that green. So you guys let us know what you're coloring with. And let us know if you like to color. Like everything, it just takes some practice, doesn't it, Dee?
Oh yeah. Well, and you got to develop your style.
I find that I tend to press too hard, so I'm learning to have a little bit lighter touch. I'm going to go in with just a little bit of the dark soft succulent in just a couple of places. Again, where it already has the lines. Stampin' Up! Did that for me. Actual artists that were designing this set, so. And I can just kind of blend that. And it's not perfect, but I am very, very happy with how it turned out. Okay. So I'm just going to come in now and pop this on my project with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I've got a brand new sheet of Stampin' Dimensionals. That always makes me really happy. You can see where it bled through. That's why using that silicone craft sheet or a sheet of grid paper, even a sheet of copy paper, something to help protect your work surface.
Jan says she has a visitor watching with her.
Who's that? Is Mackenzie there?
Yes, she is.
Oh, hi, Mackenzie. We haven't seen you for a little while. I'm glad you're visiting and you're with us today. We'll just come over here and pop this on. And then, of course, we have to add some of those brush metallic.
Betsy says she likes using blends to color with.
Well, you're a rock star, Betsy. They really do make it easy, don't you think?
She says it makes her feel like she's a real artist.
Exactly. Yes, me too. Because I am not good at coloring. I'm really not. And I'm just really happy with how that turned out. I think it looks really pretty. So you guys let me know what you think. Now, Dale and I are going to switch places because he's going to show you an alternative if you don't have the stamp set and if you're using a water painter. No, not a water painter.
No, the water, yeah.
You're using the water painter?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let us switch places. Sorry, Oliver.
Let me get it all messy right quick.
Okay. I love having options. And we've got a couple alternatives for you today if you don't have the stamp set.
I don't know if they can see.
Oh, you want to go that far back, do you?
Yeah, all right. But we have it, and all I've done is just put me some pencil lines in here to kind of follow the shape of the pumpkin around the edges real lightly with a pencil.
Come back down with it. And we've got a little bit of a lag.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, just show them how you did that.
And so I'm just real lightly kind of come in here and on the bottom just kind of make little loops with the pencil. It's going to be hard to see, and then just kind of add a little bit of detail in here, and then on the outside edge here just kind of follow it down
With a pencil.
with a pencil.
Okay.
And so I've already sketched this one all in, as y'all see, and then in the center you just kind of make a kind of an oval-like look to give it the roundness.
And that's really more for to help you follow when you're coloring. It's not going to show up when you're done, is it?
No, it will
Okay.
not. And now
You want to put that on the silicone craft sheet? Will it show up better?
maybe
Maybe.
we can do that. Let me see. Is that better?
Okay.
Okay. And I'm a messy colorer, and
That's okay. No judgment. This is a judgment-free zone.
well, good. And what I want to do is my style is kind of let it do what it does, the watercoloring or the water painting.
So you're using the water painters from Stampin' Up.
Yes.
Okay. There's 3 different sizes, right?
Yes. The package
Yeah.
here.
Okay. And you're gonna. Do you need a block for a palette?
I got one right here.
Oh, okay.
And then on the inside of on these older stamp cases, it's easier to smash them and get a little bit of ink onto the lid
Squeeze it.
and squeeze it. And then what I normally try to do is a little different than watercolor is to just, I come in here and I pick up some ink and I make sure that it's kind of dark, and I pick a side that's going to be my shadowy side, and so then I just use the darker part to, and when it's loaded full of ink, and just kind of use that to give me the detail that I'm looking for, to give me some shape. Because as you watch when I'm painting with these, that the more you touch it, the more of the color comes out of it, and so it kind of blends it all back in, and you just go in here and just give it some shape. Just kind of follow your lines to make it look round.
So when you're talking about shading, like you think about, this would be outside, so where the sun is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Like the sun is...
the direction of the light coming from.
Okay. And then it automatically adds that shading.
And then, like in regular watercolors, you wanna leave some white space instead of coloring and covering everything, and that gives you the different amounts of shade, and then
makes it more realistic.
Yeah, and then I add a little bit of water to the color, and then as you did with the blending pen, you just kind of come back in and try to add some color back in.
Blend it out a little bit.
Just to kind of soften those lines up.
Okay.
Just like you did with the blending pens.
So they could even use the pencil trick if they were using other markers or colored pencils. We also have the blender pen that has the glycerin solution inside that you can color with, so you could do that same thing.
And if you're not sure that you have the right amount of color on it, you can always touch your brush, like that would have been a little bit dark, touch your brush to the to another piece of paper, a scrap piece of paper, and
Just have to be patient and take your time, right?
well, no, that's what I like about watercolors. You just kind of daub it on there, and then you can come back in and add a little bit more color here and there, and just kind of let the water flow and give you some just, it helps give it interest.
Okay. Yeah, yours is going to look much more artsy.
Okay. And then okay, now the soft succulent. What do I do? That's over here.
Okay.
And because on these, I normally just kind of touch it to the block to get some color on the block, and I'm gonna.
Yeah, the new style ink pad, it's harder to squeeze, and I've actually seen some people crack their ink pads, so we use that trick of making the palette with the block with the newer style. And I still have some old style ink pads, and they work perfectly fine, so I have not replaced them.
And
Y'all let us know what you think. I love the way this looks. And you make it look like I could even do it.
well, that's what I like about watercolors are you just it's a sloppy technique, okay?
Then I could do it. You don't have to be perfect.
Right. We're going for the Picasso style
Oh,
thing.
okay. Picasso pumpkins?
Yeah, Picasso pumpkins.
Awesome.
And I put too many leaves in it, so.
It's okay. It's your pumpkin. You can do what you want. I do love this stamp set, but if you don't have it, I love that there's a way around it. And I'll post a share thread in the group. So if you want to take a picture of your cards that you create today, you can share them there. Or if you have this set and you've created a different project, we'd love to see it.
And I've gone from the light color to the dark color, and just to kind of, it helps bring the image in. And then I can use the...
What do you mean gone from the light color to the dark color?
Well, put the light color on the bottom, and bring the dark color to the top, and it helps differentiate the colors, and it allows you to correct your mistakes with the dark colors. If you start with the dark, it's kind of hard to to get back to a lighter color. And so, and then also if you accidentally get some of the light color in your dark ink pad, then it's not a big disaster.
Oh, that would never happen, right?
Exactly. Because some of Stampin' Up's lighter colors, when you put dark colors in them, it kind of shows up a little bit.
Well, that's another benefit of using the block versus using the ink pad. You always want to have some type of palette. You don't want to work from the actual pad. Hi, Jill. Glad to see you. You're almost done, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm just trying to... That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Let me have your ink pads and stuff, and I put a card together for you earlier so that you can add your image and show them the difference. You want me to hand me that paper towel?
Yeah.
Okay. I used a big block to be your
Palette.
palette. You want to show them the one you did earlier? Is there a little bit different look to that
Yeah,
when
there's
you're practicing?
when I was practicing, it's got a little bit different look to it.
Okay.
And this.
You take that out of the way too.
Okay.
Oops. Thank you.
Dimensionals.
Which one are you going to use?
The one I just did.
Oh, okay.
Now, an image this size needs what? 25 dimensionals? You're welcome, Tara.
Depends on who you're asking. Or half dimensionals.
Oh, where did you take your picture? But yeah, when I was taking art classes, they said stop when you're about 80% done.
Donna said maybe you should be teaching art at school too.
No way.
And Judy likes the watercolor look too. Okay, it just gives you more options. All right, guys. Pull those in so you can see the two different versions. And like I said, I'll put a share thread, and I would love to see what your cards look like. That is it for project number 1 for video 1. We will be back at 10 o'clock, and we'll be making 2 projects at 10 o'clock. So we will see you back in a few minutes.